Shabbat Shalom, my friends. Well, this is Shabbat Tekumah, the Sabbath of rebirth, which is observed by many Israelis between Yom HaShoah and Yom HaAtzmaut, Israel Independence Day. The traditional prayer for the state of Israel was originally adopted at the time of the founding of the state by two of Israel's chief rabbis, Rabbi Yitzchak Halevi Herzog, Rabbi Ben Zion Chai Uziel. Rabbi Herzog, of course, the grandfather of the current president of the state of Israel. I'm pleased to share with you how my friend and colleague, Rabbi Ilana Ronen Samuels, has adopted that prayer for 2023. Rock and Redeemer of Israel, bless the state of Israel this moment when its foundations are shaking and the splendor of its skies is darkening. Protect it with your loving kindness from those working to undermine its institutions and from its enemies who are just waiting to attack her while she is in distress. Bestow your light and truth upon its leaders, judges, and elected representatives, those struggling to defend its institutions, its citizens crying out to protect it, filling its streets in the struggle for its soul. Strengthen all of the defenders of our holy land. Be mindful of our brothers and sisters in all the lands of the diaspora, that they may join us in our outcry and participate in safeguarding the state of the Jewish people. Open our hearts that we might hear our neighbors' pains and hopes. Teach us to always renew the inherent goodness in the creation of the state. Remove from among us hatred and enmity, zealotry and malice, and plant in our hearts love and companionship, shalom and friendship. Grant shalom in the land and infinite happiness for all of its inhabitants. And let us collectively say, Amen. Okay, our combined Sedras this Shabbat are Tazria and Metzora, Leviticus 12:1 to 15:33. So I'm going to begin by sharing with you my response to a television commercial. Stick with me. It'll be okay. You've probably seen the commercial. Two miners are seen working in a tunnel, laboring to extract gold from the earth directly underneath a house. The husband and wife in the house are worried that as they are aging, their financial resources are evaporating. They don't know how they could avoid being cast into poverty. The miners down below hear the concerns and try to yell up to the house that the couple is actually standing on a gold mine because they already have life insurance policies that can be converted into cash. It all wins well. And the company that specializes in converting whole life policies into cash has caught our attention. We who read the text of the Torah are sitting on a gold mine, and often we don't even know it. Our eyes are open, but we don't pay attention to what it is that we are seeing. Jacob awakened from his dream about angels ascending and descending a ladder and said, Ahain, truly the eternal is in this place. And I didn't know it. Of course he knew it, but he just hadn't been paying attention. I remember driving through some of the most desperate slums on earth in Mumbai. We were going to a gated community within which very wealthy people lived very comfortable lives. So I asked how my host could drive past such slums every day and not be devastated by what they saw. We don't see them, I was told. And they don't see us either. Actually, the impoverished do see them, but they just no longer pay attention. And the privileged ones do see the suffering. They also just no longer pay attention. A very special friend, Barbara Lehman, has done serious thinking about something that she calls, never heard of it before, virtual literacy. Visual literacy. Visual. So what's visual literacy? Barbara writes, we open our eyes, we see. The sensation is immediate and visceral. But how often do we take the time to reflect on what we see? Visual literacy is all about paying attention to what we see. Most of us read through these twin Sedras and don't pay sufficient attention to what it is that we're seeing. Defilements that occur in conjunction with childbirth, seminal emission, skin diseases of varying severity, decay and mold in our houses. There is a gold mine in our texts. But we don't bother paying attention. In fact, to be honest, most people are overwhelmingly happy when we can rush past these texts and get to, shall we say, more comfortable and uplifting verses in the later chapters of Leviticus. We might discover that the priestly authors wanted us to know a startling fact. Holiness is not reserved for the Ark of the Covenant, for the tablets of stone on which the Decalogue is carved, for the priests in their magnificent garments, for the variety of sacrifices that seek to heal our relationships with God, to bring release from our feelings of failure, and for providing an attractive outlet for our very human desire to celebrate life. When people read most of Leviticus, that's what they see. And so they don't pay attention to what values underlie the written words. Visual literacy does not govern how we read Leviticus. But there is so much more. There is a gold mine, if you will. Sometimes we encounter people with disfigurements. They walk differently, or they speak differently, or their eyes reveal that they are not seeing what the rest of us are seeing. Perhaps we can see the impact of disease on their faces and hands. When we have those encounters, what is our usual response? To see, but not to pay attention, to turn away, to disregard, to pretend that that other isn't really there. But our Sedras seem to be saying that we need to find ways to bring such people back into the community where we live. What does that mean? Maybe it only means to share greetings with someone struggling with crutches or a wheelchair, or with a family trying to bring some fresh air and a bit of joy into the life of an aging relative. Maybe it just means pausing to hold a door open. Even such a gesture, every such gesture, is an act of healing. Like the kind of healing our text describes. If only we would pay attention to what it is that we're reading. Sometimes we have close friends whose bodies are failing them. We don't know what we could do, but we certainly know that the situation makes us feel more than a bit uncomfortable. If we paid attention, we might discover that the assaults of aging are taking a serious emotional toll and invisible toll on the other. Our Sedra speaks of understanding the challenges facing a woman who has just given birth and asks us to be present to that person, to create situations in which we can be of support without being intrusive. In cases of aging, in cases of birth, who is paying attention? My friends, there is beauty in these very dry texts. A moral gold mine. All that we need to do is to pay attention. Have a wonderful Shabbat, Shabbat Tekumah. In Israel, Yom Huledet Sameach. Have a really happy birthday. See you next week.